I think it's a brilliant bit of business for Tranmere. Obviously, there is the huge caveat of can he stay fit. I think we saw when there was a game very early on in the season. I think it was at Harrogate at home on a Tuesday night, and he played up front with Sam Taylor, and everything just seemed to click for Tranmere. And then there was the game against Salford, where he picked up the foot injury, and they were 2-1 up at half time and went on to lose the game, and then a sort of poor run of form followed after that. So I think it's a great bit of business as long as he can stay fit. Obviously, we've seen it in glimpses what he can bring to the team in terms of not just goals. His all around link up play and the way he can bring others into the game. So yeah, I'd be very happy about the extension, and just as I say, just as long as he can stay fit.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Matt, I think, as Luke says, it's really, really good news. In terms of a risk to the club, it's a 1-year deal. So look, no one wants him to have injury problems like he's just had this season. But if that were the case, then he's only on a 1-year deal, and we'd move on. So, but obviously, as you say, Matt, it suggests that there's an extension which will suit both parties, because if we invoke it, it'll mean that he's been fit. And I think you only have to look at his stats really to show what he did for us. I think he started 16, 4 substitute appearances perhaps, and he scored 6 and had 4 assists. So if you look at it in simple terms, that's 10 goal involvements in 20 games, give or take. So he's clearly, when he's been on the pitch, by and large, he's done the business. And when he came back towards the end of the season, despite the goal at Wrexham, I think he's probably one of those players physically who needs a run of games to get sharpness. But I think we haven't got anyone else like him. I think that the budget that we have as a club, can we go out and get anything better? I'm not really sure that we could, probably. And he's proven at this level. When we signed him last season, there was a lot of excitement about him and Dennis. Both of them had just got a promotion from the division on their CV. Norris with Stevenage. I think he'd got 10 league goals, but he'd been a regular in the promotion-winning side, so it was a good signing. So we mustn't lose sight of that. And there has been. It's interesting the reaction on social media. There's been a few people who are a little bit underwhelmed by it and saying about his injuries, that he's injury prone. But if you look at his career, apart from last season, by and large, he's played 40 games a season. Last year was unfortunate. From our point of view, hopefully it can be a one-off. But, for me, it'll be interesting how we revolve the team around him. That's certainly going to be interesting. Without Abdul, and whether we play a 2 up front or whether we play the 4-3-3, that's going to be interesting. But for me, it makes total sense. A 1-year deal. We know on his day he can be effective at this level. And, it ties up, it's another good early piece of transfer business. And if he can get a full pre-season behind him, keep fit, then, I think he could have a really good season for us.
Luke said it, the caveat is if he can stay fit, then it's a big thing. I think one thing to note is that he doesn't generally get too many long-term injuries. Tranmere were very unlucky last year. If you look through his statistics, generally he plays a lot of football over the course of a 9 or 10 month season. So last year was an anomaly, and we hope that it's not the sign of his body beginning to deteriorate or break down, because as we saw at Wrexham, he can score goals almost out of nothing. That was probably the most popular goal that Tranmere have scored this season, but it was also a very important one for them because it got a win at a local rival. It got him back into goal scoring form as well. He didn't necessarily kick on from there, but he showed what he can do when he's charging through on goal. The thing that you said there, though, Dave, for me is the key. It's the style of play with him in the side, which changed significantly once he returned compared to what had been largely successful while he was out, Luke.
Yeah, well, excuse me. So obviously when he did pick up his first injury, Tranmere sort of did have to fill a Norris-shaped hole in the team. As you said, Dave, there isn't really anyone else in the team like Norris. So in terms of replacing him with someone else in the squad, it was very difficult to do. So they did have to change the way that they played. And I just think that we saw at times throughout the season when they did, in those games where they were having to defend a bit more and sit a little bit deeper and get more players behind the ball, when they played with a lone striker, players like, a Charlie Jolly or a Harvey Saunders, when they had to do that job by themselves, they did sort of struggle. But then when you look at a player like Luke Norris, who has at times looked isolated, but when they get the ball into his feet and into his body, you think, he's better suited to doing that role. So I think, as you said about the system before, about maybe him playing more as a lone striker in a 4-3-3, obviously with the support from the wings, I think he's got the profile to do that. And we saw that early on in the season when Sam Taylor was getting a bit more game time and he was playing a bit closer to Norris. So I think there is a lot to be excited about, and a lot to be sort of intrigued about over pre-season, the next couple of months, to see how Adkins will sort of look to build the team around him if that is the plan.